Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, One Rental and Time, back with his Wednesday guest, Mr. Matt, the mortgage guy. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Fed day.
Fed day, yeah. So this is going to be really interesting. We are recording this at about 10 a.m. Pacific, which is about 90 minutes before the Fed speaks. And I probably will post this tonight at 8 o'clock. So this video may not age well. It may be out of date by the time people watch it. But I thought I would just get our opinions. What do you think the Fed's going to do today? I have my ideas, but what do you think's coming?
Yeah, I mean, I think most people who have been watching and following are thinking that the Fed's hand is now being forced, right? Yeah. Like they've got to take action. They've kind of been
the Fed is behind.
Yeah, and they've been dogged in the media like transitory. You guys missed it. You guys done messed up. You better fix your mess you made. And so I think it was 10 billion a month taper of treasuries, 5 billion a month of
5 and 10
securities. Yeah, like they're probably going to double that and say,
okay,
like, we're gonna
I agree,
taper at double the pace. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did a little bit of forecasting. That's what they do, right? And say, this is our plan. We're going to taper at this rate, and then we're going to, whether it's April, May, June, whatever it is, this is when we might tick rates up. And this stuff, like we've said before, what they say affects the market
instantly.
Yeah. And sometimes what happens is, like, you might have stuff that said today where everybody's like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And then you don't see a lot of movement in the mortgage market. When that happens, it's like, yeah, that was already baked in because that was expected.
Yeah.
What I do know sitting in this seat is like, never think that you know what to expect, right?
It's the taper tantrum and all of these things. So it's going to be really interesting. The Fed does the best it can to telegraph what's coming. I just have a sneaky suspicion, and again, this video may not age well, but hey, I'll take a shot. I have a funny feeling they're going to say something that spooks the market. I did a video, I think, on Sunday saying that Jerome Powell needs to be a little more like Paul Volcker. I recalculated CPI with actual rent, not this bullshit 3.5.
Yeah.
CPI was 10, and PPI was 9.6. He's got to do something to show the market that he's serious. And again, I think he's going to say something, right? The Fed presidents, in my experience, say stuff first, allow the market to, shake out. And then they can correct their language if they think it overreacted.
Right. It's like a test. If I say this, let's see how the market reacts. If they're cool with it, then I'll proceed.
Yeah, then I'll go farther.
If they overreact, exactly.
Yeah. So I think he has to be 10%.
Right. Dude, and I totally agree. Like the CPI numbers where they're using rent surveys, calling people on the phone, like, what a BS number.
Yeah, we actually have companies like American Homes that has 80,000 homes. Go to them. They're telling you it's 15%, not 3.5. Right.
Yeah, let's talk to non-investors, non-landlords, and ask them what they think rents are doing versus talking to people that own houses and rent houses out.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Oh my gosh. What kind of world are we living in?
That's crazy. So again, I expect the Fed to say something. Another thing I'm very confident on is the Fed has created asset bubbles. What the Fed did is they created liquidity. Liquidity had to go somewhere. Somewhere was assets. Assets went up. I believe the Fed's going to spend the next 12 to 24 months extracting equity. And frankly, they're not going to be the investor's friend, which means all kinds of things. And potentially, because again, if you go back and look at history, the Fed has been late, which I think they're late today. They have overreacted or had to overcorrect. And I think the Fed could cause a recession next year. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that they've been, spotlighted as you guys missed it. You guys messed up. And so when they take overcorrective action now, I remember 2013, that taper tantrum, for our purposes and for me in the mortgage business, that was 0.5 point to 3/4 of a point in interest rate move. Wow. I think it was like July or August of 2013.
Yeah, like within 48 hours, right? It was
right.
crazy fast.
And so, that's something where you got to be prepared for it in my world. And if you're looking at, anything with purchase or refinance, rates could move. A 0.5% is significant.
Oh yeah, right? I think in my investing lifetime, there's probably been only a couple of days or a couple of 40-hour windows where the rate moved 0.5%.
Right. Yeah. And
it usually moves
when it moves
slower.
a quarter in a week, you're like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling.
Right.
But there's been points in history, and that last point in history that I could really point at with the taper tantrum, it had to do with the Fed's actions and the levers they're pulling. And so it's going to be interesting today and moving forward how their actions affect the market. And I think you might be right where, when we're seeing 10% inflation, it's drastic, and drastic measures need to be taken to tame that.
Yeah.
And, the tools that they have are the, interest rate levers.
Yeah. Interest rate levers. Yeah. The liquidity's got to come out of the system. And there's a lot of liquidity in the system still. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Yeah. I'm pretty nervous about second half 2022. Yeah. So anything else going on in this world that you want to kind of talk about, see what happens?
I mean, not a lot, really. The last 2 weeks of the year for mortgage and real estate are relatively slow. I looked this morning, week over week refinance volume, week over week purchase volume. There's just not a lot of stuff. And I think that, on the purchase side of things, people aren't necessarily going to go list their house the week before Christmas.
No.
They know that people aren't out there. But, what I'm interested, it's always like, exciting for me to think about like what's going to happen. What's going to happen with the Fed meeting? What's going to happen with rates? What's going to happen? I'm excited to see January and inventory, right?
Yeah,
because people aren't going to list in the next 2 weeks. But, I was at a real estate meeting yesterday with probably 50 or 60 different real estate agents. And a lot of them are like, can we pitch listings that aren't here yet that are coming January 3rd? Can we talk about those? A lot of agents in my area have had those conversations, right? And when a sign goes in the yard, it's not from a conversation that was had the night before, right? True. The conversations are being had right now. Hey, you want to list your house? You got to do this, you got to do that. We're not going to get it ready and then, put it on the MLS on December 24th. Let's target January 3rd. Let's target January 5th, right? It's going to be an interesting combination too, right? Like if inventory comes and rates tick up, what's that going to do to this supply versus demand and prices? I mean, that's what people always want to know. They call me, what's going to go happen with real estate prices? What's going to happen with mortgage rates? All the other information you have, Matt, I could care less. Just those two things.
Well, I think the great real estate slowdown continues. That's what I think is coming. More inventory will mean more days on market. More days on market, you will find out who the motivated seller is and isn't. So, Matt, how can people reach out to you and see what's going on in the mortgage world?
Greatmortgagebroker.com. Whether you're trying to purchase or refinance or whatever you're trying to do, that's the place to start. We'll give you good advice. And, we talked about inventory coming. There's going to be deals to be had, hopefully for investors.
Yeah.
You're not in the game if you don't have, mortgage pre-approval done. I see so many people that are like, I'm going to see what happens with this offer, then I'll talk to you.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, that's not the way to do it, right?
Yeah.
And it's been a while since we talked about this, but if you're serious and you're going to be submitting offers, get yourself pre-approved, not just because it's a good idea to present that to the list side, which it is, but you want to be able to write a 24-day close, a 26-day close. You can't do that if you're scrambling to get stuff after the offer gets accepted.
Yeah, agreed.
On top of that, you want to know your exact credit score, exactly what the loan's going to look like with 20% down and 25% down. I can't have any of those conversations with what ifs. And, I've had more and more conversations over this last week than I can remember where, people are reminding me, well, here's what I make. Here's the 4 rentals I have. Here's what they produce in income. Here's this. And I said, listen, I used to play this. I used to do this with people where it all sounds fine. And then we get an application and we realize that because of how you filed your taxes, you don't qualify. Or I look at it and I'm like, I don't think it works. And then we get the numbers back and it looks fine and you qualify. I don't want to guess.
Yeah.
You don't want me to guess. Let's get an application in. Let's get you, fully pre-approved and in a position where you're writing offers get accepted. We press play and we go.
Yeah, I want to second that because, again, what I've been telling my entire channel for about 6 months now is the real estate slowdown is real, which is going to mean opportunities are going to present themselves. You're not going to have to make a decision in 7 seconds. And you're going to ultimately find truly motivated sellers, because some of these listings will just come off. The seller's not motivated. Others will accept maybe less than list. So do yourself a favor. Make sure you're pre-approved. Make sure you've got your file open so you can get a quick close, because time is often more important than a cash offer. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Cash offer really means nothing. Is if the loan was secure, they don't care where the money comes from. It's the time behind a cash offer. So do yourself, get pre-approved, make sure you can do the fastest close possible. And one more time, where do you want them to reach out?
Greatmortgagebroker.com.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.